interesting. We haven't seen a world record yet, but we've seen a few Olympic records, Arnold.
Yes, a solid swim, but Marchand, we saw one of the greatest swims in Olympic history in front of his home crowd. A perfect swim. If, you know, people normally say perfection is impossible. If you want to see perfection, look at Marchand's 200 butterfly. It was absolutely immaculate, and France can celebrate his second goal, and in a few minutes, he'll be swimming the 200 breaststroke, looking for his third gold medal. He is a genius.
Well, we're going to go more in depth into that discussion later on when we enter into the swimming segment of things. Of course, we still have a final to come with several finals taking place today. Swimming has once again taken the stage and taken the advantage of all the other sports. Of course, we've seen several other sports as well. We've seen football in the mix of things today, artistic gymnastics for men, and a few other things happening in the mix of things. But I know Jehu is really eyeing the athletics coming up at the end of the week.
Definitely. I think the bringing down of the curtain really has to do with the athletics. Everybody's looking forward to who is going to be the fastest man in the world. The event that is spoken about the most, 100 meters, both men and women. So track and field gets kick-started on the first. We look forward to see how things unfold.
Well, speaking of track and field, she has won world and Olympic medals at 100, 200 and 400 meters, including 3 over 100 meters. But she won't get the chance to go for an elusive first global 100-meter title in Paris after news of her withdrawal was confirmed earlier on Wednesday. Shericka Jackson, the reigning 2-time world 200-meter champion, will only contest the half-lap event in the French capital. Now, in her final race before the Olympic Games on July 9th in Hungary, Jackson pulled up with a reported calf cramp. Here is what coach Stephen Francis said when he was grilled on the matter earlier on Wednesday in Paris.
I don't know what that means.
Is she fit enough to compete tomorrow if she needs to?
She can compete today if she needs to. Yeah.
How well?
Again, I tell you, I'm not a prophet. I just tell you what I believe is capable based on training. And based on training, she can compete today.
Are you satisfied that she came through training well today? Are you okay with
She didn't train today.
Oh, why? The day off?
There are a lot of people who didn't train today, including her.
Would there need to have been a recommendation from you to the technical committee in regards to her participation or the levels she would be at for the 100 and 200?
No.
All right, looking forward to
Would there be any reason why she would be scratched from the 100 meters at this point,
again,
as far as you know?
Again, that's a decision taken or an action made by the Jamaica technical staff, of which I am not a part.
Interesting points there made by the team's coach, both Jackson and the Team Jamaica manager. Ludlow Watts later confirmed the development. Now, Ricardo Chambers, one of the voices you will be hearing throughout the entire track and field sessions at the Olympic Games, joins us live from the Paris commentary box to help us with this discussion. Welcome to We Paddy Prime. Are you surprised, Ricardo, that Shericka Jackson will not be contesting the 100 meters? Ricardo, we will have to ask that question once more. We seem to be having a bit of a technical difficulty with your audio. Hopefully we can have that rectified in a very, very short space of time. But Jehu, that's a big decision because, yes, we all know about the injury a few weeks ago. But I think, in my opinion, the 200-meter tends to take a little more toll on your body. I'm not a technical analyst for athletics, but is that a good statement to say?
I think it's a good statement to stand on. What Shericka has done over the last couple of years, as they mentioned, is the 100-meter gold medal has eluded her for some reason. For the last 4 Olympic Games, Jamaica was able to keep the US off of the medal top podium, off of the top spot of the podium. And I think Shericka was one of their better chances come this Olympics to help maintain such a record for them. So it is a big blow. It is unfortunate that she's not going to be competing in the 100 meters. I am still a bit concerned by the fact that they did not pull her from the 200, because if you're not good enough to compete in the 100 meters, then how are you going to compete in an event that is going to require a lot more in terms of energy and pace distribution.
Now, Anil, based on the reports we've seen over the last few months, Shericka Jackson going into the 100 meter, well, unfortunately she won't be there again, as second favorite behind Sha'Carri Richardson.
Well, I don't like the mystery. You see, I am one that just give the truth. Some of those interviews there, I see Coach Francis, he's been very elusive. He's not answering. He wants to say, but he's not saying. This is very important. What is the position? How is she? Is she ready? There's not about this secret, but, oh, she might have an injury, but we don't want our competitors to know. Those things pale in comparison to the importance of knowing what we're doing. Your entire country has been looking forward to Shericka Jackson getting up there in the 100, possibly doing the double, and we're not getting answers. From what from what Coach Francis is saying, he finds she ready to run the 100. But the coaches that have been selected on the Jamaica national team have gotten together and made a decision to put someone else in. Now, what would be the reason for that? What information do they have? What analysis was done? Is there a doctor's report? Did they go through a little trial running? Did they look, did the coaches observe her in training and then make that decision? That's a very big decision.
It is.
And we are getting no information whatsoever. So the whole of Jamaica, all the Caribbean are now looking puzzled.
Well, let's see if we can unpuzzle this situation. One man who is known for having some great points in the realm of track and field is Ricardo Chambers, joining us from Paris in the Combox. Ricardo, once again, Shericka Jackson, unfortunately missing out on the 100 meter for, of course, a personal choice or a collective decision by the entire coaching team. What's your take on it?
Yeah, so Anil brought up a pretty good point just now in terms of how elusive Stephen Francis has been when he's been asked about Shericka Jackson. Now, notice the difference when Stephen Francis is being asked about someone like a Kishane Thompson or Tia Clayton. There is a reason for that. The reason is Stephen Francis is a Nike paid coach. He is not the official coach of Shericka Jackson. He's the official coach of the Nike athletes at the MVP Track and Field Club. The official coach of Shericka Jackson is Paul Francis, who is the brother of Stephen Francis and who is also on the national coaching staff. So when Stephen Francis says that, well, listen, I'm not part of the team that determines these things, I'm not part of the team that sends in the entries, I think a lot of it has to do with that he himself has to be careful how he speaks specifically about Shericka Jackson, an athlete he is not the official coach for. Again, you listened to him yesterday, for example, when he was asked about her fitness, and he said, from what I see, she looks fit. That's a suggestion. And especially if you understand the dynamic at the MVP Track and Field Club, that, well, yes, I see her, but I am not officially in charge of her. Shericka Jackson in the past as well has made the point strongly that she is coached by Paul Francis. And subsequent to that Stephen Francis interview that we just heard, Shericka Jackson did confirm that she was running only the 200 meters at the Olympic Games. And in confirming that, she said that it was a decision made by her and her coach. Now, she did not specifically say in that interview that Paul Francis is the coach, but we know that based on the conversations and the discussions and what has been revealed by the MVP Track and Field Club in the past. Now, let me also say something that I find rather interesting is that Shericka Jackson has stayed very clear this year from speaking about her injuries. In fact, at the national championships, I think it was after the 200 final, she specifically asked journalists not to ask her about her injuries at that stage. She is essentially refused to speak about the issues that she's had this year. In fact, even earlier today, a question was put to her about the fact that she stopped in Hungary in the build-up to the Olympic Games and how she had recovered from that, and the fact that she hadn't competed since then. And she completely bypassed the question about the injury and went specifically to, well, I wasn't supposed to compete after that in any case. So it's not like there was any plan to compete following that race. And she did not address the injury issue at all. And that's the way she's dealt with this entire 2024 campaign. And I suspect that she will not be speaking about whatever issues she's had injury-wise until maybe after the Olympic Games. But from what I understand, she did have issues even up to the national championships, that there was a flare-up of her knee between the semis of the women's 200 meters and the final. And if fans remember, she took things very easy in the final of the women's 200 meters, and that was out of precaution. For me, I was surprised when she turned up and competed in Hungary because I felt it was so quick after the national championship, so that caught me by surprise. But what hasn't surprised me is this latest decision not to have her do the double. And Sachin, you brought up a pretty important point about the 200 meters probably been more strenuous. But having said that, Shericka Jackson will see the 200 meters as her better opportunity for an individual Olympic gold medal. Shakira Richardson is the favorite for the 100. Shericka has
Yeah, we seem to have lost audio there from Ricardo, but he made some very, very valid points. I really wanted to ask him the question, does he think it's poor to have everyone in suspense, that the coach himself, who coaches Shericka, Paul Francis, should have come to the front and really expressed himself about the condition or maybe the reason why Jackson maybe ducked out?
Well, that's the point. These athletes are incredibly important
to everyone in the
5 4 3 2 1 5 4 3 2 1 5 4 3 2 1 5 4 3 2 1
Olympics. And if a critical decision has been made, they would have discussed it, they would have mulled over it, they would have gone through options. And if a coach comes to a decision to say, hey, Shericka, I believe we come out of the 100, focus on the 200 to get gold, to get you that gold medal, that's okay. But tell us, tell the country, I could feel the panic. I'm not a Jamaican, and I could feel the panic in Jamaica, the confusion, Jehu.
Yeah, it leaves the fans now as to what's next,
Yeah.
what is going on with Shericka. The stakes are really high for Shericka at this Olympics, because we know the 100 meters has eluded her. The 200 is her better event, but to leave us with so much suspense going into the Olympic Games is going to leave a lot of airs just left there and a lot of things to be said as to her form and fitness.
Ricardo, you are rejoining us after a bit of a break in the audio. Shericka Jackson is the defending 200-meter world champion. And do you think, though, I asked Anil the question, and we discussed a bit about it, do you think her coach, Paul Francis, should have come out and maybe have that very informal press conference that we saw the other coach spoke at there? Do you think he should have been the one speaking to the media and, of course, by extension, speaking to the world?
Well, I'll answer that in a few ways. One of them is that I'm pretty sure that journalists in Paris probably saw Stephen Francis and decided to go after Stephen Francis. The truth is, Stephen Francis is always willing to speak. In fact, he's usually a little bit more candid than he has been in these interviews leading up to the Olympic Games. He's been rather coy, and that is very much unlike Stephen Francis. So that surprises me a little bit. As it relates to Paul Francis, well, Shericka Jackson did speak, so it's not as if the team has not spoken any at all. It's not as if they have evaded the media completely. There were were opportunities today to speak with Shericka Jackson, who was attending a Puma press conference, and these questions were put to her. And as I said, she evaded specifically the questions about her injuries. But listen, let me tell you guys, it's been a difficult year for Shericka Jackson. I personally don't understand why they have been so afraid to really come out and speak about the issues that she's had, but it's been a very difficult year. If you look back at the national championships, when she won the 100 meters, there seemed to have been an extra bit of joy, the type of joy you get when you have gone through a difficult period and you have found a way to come through it. That's what I saw from Shericka when she won the 100 at the Nationals, but it's been a tough year, and from what I understand, a number of injury niggles that she's had to deal with over time, one after the other. But hey, as Stephen Francis, the founding member of the MVP Track Club, said that on this day she is fit. That means that she'll be putting all her energies into the 200 meters. And just to answer an earlier question you had, Sachin, so Shericka Jackson about running the 100 versus the 200, maybe the 100 being less strenuous on the body. The fact is that Shericka's event is the 200, and if she has to choose one of them, I think it's always going to be the half lap, because that is the event where she thinks if she has anything to give, she's going to have her best opportunity of winning an Olympic gold medal. And the other point to be made about not doubling is that it's not necessarily that she is not fit on this day in sport, but a big question you have to ask when you're in a situation like that is, what can the body handle over the next week or so? Can the body handle the double? The answer to that, based on what we have in front of us now, is clearly no. And that means we go with the better event, and that for Shericka is the 200 meters.
Well, Ricardo, the information that you have given there shows, you see, we're harping on the word fit. There are levels of fit.
Yes.
Dream fitness for Shericka is double. Dream fitness is going through the 100 rounds, progressing, getting in there with a shot at an Olympic goal, going, icing, recovering, massaging, going comfortably through the 200 rounds, and then going in at 200 goal. The mere fact that that has changed means she is less fit than perfectly fit. So what we need to know and what we need to understand is, what is the issue? I am scared now that if she goes, now if she comes out of the 100, part of the reason might be the 100 requires 100% drive out of the blocks and an immediate acceleration, whereas in the 200 you could build into your race and not make all your muscle fibers fire. Is there a danger to a future injury? This is very scary. When you were speaking and asking her questions, tell me, what was her body language? What did you sense? You are a man who's been around. What did you sense from her while she was not answering the questions, but fielding the question?
You know, you ask valid questions, Anil, and I'll answer that. Well, I'll start the answer to that by saying the truth is, we've known all year that Shericka Jackson is not at peak fitness or at dream fitness, as you just put it, because remember, Shericka Jackson withdrew from about 4 meets at the start of the season, including local meets in Jamaica. And then when she did compete, she looked a shadow of herself. And heading into the Jamaican Olympic trials, there were a lot of fans extremely concerned about what shape she would turn up in, whether and she came through that pretty well. But again, when it came to the 200 meters, her body didn't last, and she had to be cautious in the 200 meters final just to get through that. She got through it at the national championships, and I am suspecting that although she got through it at the national championships, but then subsequent to that she had to stop in Hungary, then given everything that they have, they're saying to themselves, it's a possibility your body won't last the double. I completely understand the point you make, Anil, in terms of at this stage trying to understand the specifics of it. But as I said earlier, I suspect that Shericka and the MVP group will not speak about those specifics until post-Olympic Games.
Ricardo, stay with us. We hope the connection remains from Paris, because when we return from this break, we'll discuss the man who is favored by many to take home the 100-meter title. And we're going to take a short one and come back with more. Stay with us. The Paris Welcome back to We Paddy Prime. Ricardo Chambers is still with us from the Paris commentary box as we continue our discussion on track and field. And we're staying in the MVP camp, but turning our attention now to the man who many feel can take Jamaica and the English-speaking Caribbean back to the top of the 100-meter podium. Yes, if you haven't figured it out, we're referring to Kishane Thompson. Now, our team in Paris has been working very, very hard, and they produced this piece on the 23-year-old.
Kishane Thompson, training in front of the world's media for the first time since arriving in Paris. The Jamaican with the fastest time this year at 9.77 seconds is favored by many to return the sprinting crown to the land of wood and water. Today he was explosive out of the blocks.
Well, I'm always excited when I see the athletes who I coach do well from the blocks, because it's a crucial part of the races, and so it's very satisfying.
And it seems the mind games have begun. The self-proclaimed world's fastest man, the American Noah Lyles, will be within his sights in a matter of days. Noah Lyles loves playing the mind game, so is that a discussion that you've had with him so he's not affected by it when he's at the starting line?
Well, I think you'll find that he plays mind games with those people who he's faster than. So I don't think he will have that much opportunity this time around, but we'll see if his mind games works on people who have demonstrated that they are a lot faster than he is.
Is that what you've told Kishane as well, personally?
I haven't. I'm not going to tell you what I tell Kishane. I'm just telling my opinions.
Kishane may be an unassuming 23-year-old under the glare of the harshest spotlight for the first time, but it seems he knows how to play his cards off the field as well. Ignoring Lyles at the training facility and greeting his girlfriend, Jamaica's 400-meter runner Janelle Broomfield, may prove to be a mentally surgical move. There is more to Kishane that meets the eye, it seems, and every Olympic champion needs that. He may be the next one.
Very interesting responses there from the coach specifically. I love the fact that he said, well, it's a self-proclaimed fastest man in the world. We'll wait to see how that one unfolds. What are your thoughts on the story, Jehu?
Well, as I mentioned, self-proclaimed, it means who gave Noah Lyles that title, that he is the fastest man in the world. To me, the fastest man in the world has to be the person who has the fastest time currently.
Correct.
And Kishane Thompson, he has the fastest time currently. He's the favorite. Noah Lyles going out there and telling people he's the fastest guy in the world. He's the defending world champion from 2023. But it is still left to be seen who is now going to be crowned the Olympic champion.
Ricardo Chambers is still with us from the Paris commentary box. Ricardo, this is a big move, having the young man do this practice in front of a media session. Of course, lots of things could have happened there, but thankfully all went well.
When I listened to that report just now, when I watched that report just now, the part that jumped out at me was Kishane Thompson going across to hug Jonelle Bromfield and completely ignoring Noah Lyles, just showing that, listen, you can play mind games, I can play mind games as well. And I think everybody across the Caribbean now knows the Jonelle Bromfield, Noah Lyles story. And of course, Jonelle Bromfield formerly trained at the MVP group, and she trained alongside Kishane Thompson there as well. So that for me tells me that Kishane Thompson is not just a fast athlete, that he has it together up here as well. He has that champion's mentality, and you need that type of mentality if you are going to win these massive races. And it is not the best thing, at least in my opinion, to hide away from the media, to hide away from the spotlight. For me, it's important that you are able to embrace that spotlight. It's important that you are able to find the balance between embracing the spotlight and also preparing for battle and be ready to deliver when the time comes. And I genuinely believe that Kishane has everything that it takes. Of course, we will find out at the weekend whether he actually does, but for sure, I think he does. Now, let me say quickly, I'll just go back to my predictions ahead of the Paris Olympic Games, and you're probably going to think I'm crazy if you didn't hear it. I didn't have Noah Lyles finishing in the top 3. In fact, I have Kishane Thompson to win, Seville to be second, so the Jamaicans 1-2, with the reigning Olympic champion, Lemon Marcel Jacobs, finishing in 3rd. But hey, call me crazy, I probably am sometimes.
So. Well, very much crazy. So. Marcel Jacobs ain't making the final. But,
Anil, if we were talking on WhatsApp, I would pin that comment.
Pin it.
Because...
Record it here, master control room. Record that. Jacob's not even making the final.
Listen, the pollution has to be getting the best of Ricardo in Paris right now. Definitely.
But let me tell you something, Ricardo, what I like there. You see now, I am full of confidence. Why? Because Kishane Thompson come out looking good, nice uniform, in front of the media, warm up, do some stats, looking powerful, looking great. When Noah Lyles see that start, Noah Lyles going to hope the 100 was 112 because he will need that extra 12 to catch that speed demon. Now, juxtapose that to how scared I am in the case of Shericka Jackson because I'm confused. I have no information. I'm scared. Look at this. We've seen it in front of the media. He looks incredible.
But you know what, Anil? As I said, part of the difference, and notice the difference here in how Stephen Francis speaks about Kishane Thompson as opposed to how he was speaking about Shericka Jackson.
And I love what he say. He say he play mind games with men who he faster than. And he not faster than Kishane. So I love that answer. That was brilliant.
Yeah,
but they look good.
It's a very, very important point, yeah.
I think the impact of Kishane's performance is now playing on Noah's mind because after he was supposed to compete at the Monaco Diamond League and he eventually had to take an extra week off to go and put some extra training in. So Kishane is subliminally playing on Noah's mind right now.
I ain't so sure about that one because I could tell you, I hear you. But I think from a coaching standpoint, when Noah Lyles ran Ricardo in London, he came out of the blocks better than he normally does. He went through his drive phase flawlessly. He ran comfortably, reached maximum speed, and did not decelerate. He had a solid, comfortable run. And therefore, as a coach, I tell him, hey, boss, we ready. We ain't running no more race. Time to get ready for Paris.
Yeah, but you know what, Anil? I agree with JQ because that race that you point to, which was a brilliant race from him, probably the best race I've ever seen from Noah Lyles, and it was a personal best, so that bears it out. But he had taken the week off previously because he was to be in Monaco before that London race. He decided not to go to Monaco. He decided to stay at his training base for one more week. I agree with Jehu on this one, that he stayed in Monaco for that extra week because he saw Kishane Thompson's 991 shutting down with 20 meters to go and said to himself, coach, this kid is real. This kid is real. And if he does not get injured, we are in trouble. So we better take the extra week and get some work in.
One thing will be sure.
Yes.
all will be told and unfold before the eyes of the world shortly.
Indeed.
That is for sure. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this on this show, but it's like pregnancy. It's coming.
No, Janelle is coming on. Don't say that. You will get fired, Ricardo.
Well, Ricardo, speaking of pregnancy, you were pregnant with opinions earlier about the players, the athletes making the final. But tell us as well, and I'm going to just give you a few stats here. Personal best and season best for Kishane Thompson, 9.77 just about a month and a half ago in June. And, do you think he can take it gold? And what do you think will be the gold's time this year?
Yeah, so I think at this stage, Kishane Thompson is capable of running anywhere between 9.67 and 9.73. I'm not convinced that anyone else in the field has that sort of speed in them, and that's why I'm so confident that unless something horrendous happens, that Kishane Thompson has everything it takes to win the Olympic title. I do want to go back to something though, because Anil is pressing my buttons here on this one when he says that Jacobs will not make the final. Well, I can tell you, Anil, I would be willing to bet my house that this man will be in the Olympic final, and I have him down for a medal as well. And let me tell you why. Marcel Jacobs has not been healthy since he won the Olympic title in Tokyo. What this man has shown is that every single time he's healthy, he wins. Olympic title, European title, world indoor title. Again, this season, he won the European 100 title because he's finally fit again. He's come down to 9.92 seconds, which is ahead of where he was ahead of the Tokyo Olympic Games when he won the title in 9.80. Here is something to also bear in mind. Unlike the Americans and the Jamaicans who have to come through an extremely tough national championship and peak at that point of the season for their nationals, Marcel Jacobs does not have that issue. He knows from the start of the year that he will be on the Italian team. He will get to run the 100 meters. And so his sole focus is being ready for the Olympic Games. That's the reason he surprised everyone in Tokyo. Ahead of Tokyo, I said it, I predicted him for a medal, and people thought I was crazy back then 3 years ago. Here I am again predicting him for another medal, and I do believe that he can get it. This is a man who is improving, and once he doesn't get injured, he's gonna be right there.
Interesting points indeed.
That's fantastic, but I definitely would not accept your bet there, because I would not want to make such a brilliant sports journalist homeless. I will not be doing that to you, my brother.
He will be sleeping after the Olympic 100 meters final.
One of the things I've learned in life, right, is that when you know how to get it done, you don't become overwhelmingly concerned about what you lose, because you know you have the brain space to get it
But
all
one
back.
thing I'll take from your statement,
yes,
you put a big caveat there. It's just like our basketball player who won with the Toronto Raptors, and now we could hardly ever see him, Kawhi Leonard. You said if he stays healthy. That's the biggest if on SportsMax, on We Prime, because I can guarantee you, after our first round, you're going to see him pull something. I ain't sure what he will pull, but he will pull something.
That was 2 years ago, Anil. That was 2 years ago. And Anil, let's be honest, right? For so many of the athletes who we have as favorites, Kishane Thompson, Shericka Jackson, and I can name a few others, that caveat is necessary if they stay healthy.
Yes, but they don't have a track record like that. They don't end up in the hospital all the time.
Ricardo, we want to thank you very much for taking some time off from the Paris commentary box, and we're going to catch up with you when athletics begins in a few days' time. We hope you get some rest and get your research done, because this is certainly, if this is our discussion here and it's heating up like this, imagine when things do get going in a few days' time, imagine what it's going to be like. We're going to take a short break and come back with more on We Paddy Prime. Stay with us.
To
Welcome back. Sada Williams will be waving the Barbados flag high in the French capital of Paris. The two-time World Championship 400-meter bronze medalist will be looking to become only the second Barbadian Olympic medalist. She will begin her campaign on August 5th in the 400 meters. Now, Donald Oliver caught up with her ahead of the battle. Take a look.
You get experience over the one lap, you learn.
Sada, it's been a quiet season in terms of us not hearing from you and what you've been doing behind the scenes. Talk to me about this particular season. What's it been like for you?
Well, I can say for starters, I think this is the first season I haven't competed as much as previous seasons. But surprisingly, my times dropped significantly. Well, let me not say significantly, but because it's been a little bit slow and taking it up. But my last race, Jamaica Nationals, I ran 49.8, and that's the fastest I've ever ran in June. And when I ran that, I was super excited to see where the season would go. Well, and I guess my next race is gonna be at Olympics, so it's no telling.
Is that within your comfort zone?
What is it?
The fact that you haven't raced since then, really, is that you're not quite sure where you're at?
I mean, I feel like, because it's going to be over a month now that I haven't competed, so I'm at this point, I think I just got to trust my training and how I feel and just go out there and make it through the rounds.
It's all a matter of trusting the process, isn't it?
Definitely.
Sada Williams of Barbados goes in lane 6, the World Championship bronze medalist.
2022 was such a massive year for you, wasn't it, in terms of what you did at the Commonwealth Games in particular. Was that more of a relief for you? Does that cause you to have less pressure heading into the Olympics here in Paris?
I don't think so, I always believe that when I compete for Barbados, Bajans always support me no matter what. They always love the fact that I go there and represent them. And I would like to say they'll be happy no matter how I perform, but we all know that's not true. But I think I know it will mean a lot to them if I make it on the podium and bring home the second Olympic medal Barbados has ever gotten. I know that will mean a lot to them, but regardless, I think they'll be happy regardless.
Obadele is part of our commentary team. I'm sure he'll be elated as well to see you get that medal. But in terms of your mindset, I mean, you've gone through the opening ceremony and the optics of all of that. Barbados' flag bearer must have meant so much for you.
Yeah, of course. I saw it on TV too. I watched it back and I was like, oh, look at me. So it was really nice. And I honestly, I didn't know what the big deal was, but holding the flag and everyone seeing me as the flag bearer and, of course, Jack Kirby, it was a very special feeling. So
what's your mindset now, just a few days away from competition?
Make it through the rounds, take it day by day, and just give it all I got in the finals.
We're going to talk after the finals, surely, but what do you have to say to Barbados at this point in time?
What do I have to say? Thanks so much, guys, for supporting me and the Bajan team. I always love the support that you guys bring, and it means a lot. So keep it up.
Hey, thanks a lot to Don and, of course, Sade, giving some really, really nice points there. Welcome, Chris Taylor, to the show today. Sade has a chance now to make a podium finish and be only the second Barbadian after Obadele Thompson to get an Olympic medal. Now, she said some really, really nice things there. She's going to take the days day by day, game by game, and step by step.
Yeah, no, she's been doing really great. Had a standout year 2022 where I thought she really got her times together. Been a lot more consistent. She's lowered her personal best. I think just a couple of months ago she improved her 200-meter PB as well to I think 22.5. So that for me will mean that she can probably keep a little bit more in the tank for the first 200 and then, really let loose. I think that brings a lot more comfort in the fact that she's increased her speed. I think she has a real chance. It's a tough field. When you think about it, obviously the price to Jamaica, Nikisha Price comes in probably as a favorite with 48, she's
48.5.
Which is the best time so far this year. Has run 48.9 as well. But I think when you look at her, Kazmarek as well from Poland, Paulina, who is the double world champion, I think it's a very talented field. But I think the work that Sada Williams has put in, I think she can go sub 49. Yes, 49.5 is her PB, but I think based on the work she's done, especially on her speed, that she could go sub 49. I think if she goes sub 49, she'll end up on the medal podium. Gold, I think that's a little bit far-fetched, but I think she has an outside chance of getting a medal.
Interesting points. Jehu, what say you about that personal best at the 400, 49.58 in 2023, and a 2024 personal best of 200 of 22.59?
Well, anybody that has medal at the last World Championships or even the World Championships prior, I will definitely not count them out of winning a medal. She has won 2 bronze in the last World Championships. She made it to the semi-finals at the last Olympic Games. As she mentioned, Obadel is the last person back in 2,000 100 meters to win a bronze medal for Barbados. I had some breakfast with Obadeli this morning, and he really wasn't too happy by his chances in the 200 meters, where he felt as though he was probably cheated to some extent, where he tied with Atto Bolden. Atto eventually went on to win the bronze, and he came fourth. So Shadi, this year is going to be tied. She's not, for us, the expected favorite. Obviously, Nikisha Price from Jamaica going in with 48.5 is the favorite. So she will definitely needs to improve on her personal best this time around and make sure she leaves everything on the line.
Yeah, Arnold, what are your thoughts on that interview? Of course, she said some good points there, thanking the Barbados community, the country of Barbados, all her supporters for their support as well. And, she comes from a very small community called Diamond Valley in St. Philip. And then she made her move to St. Michael. But the people back in Barbados must be extremely proud of her achievements so far, even if she doesn't meet into the final round.
Well, she's fantastic, and I really enjoy how she runs. Now, she said something there that is critical, and Jehu will talk a bit more about that. You have to understand, going through these rounds, they say the word rounds, but round management is absolutely critical. If you are going to be in the final and get on the podium, you have to conserve as much energy as possible, but don't play the fool and miss out. Yeah, it's really very tricky, and it depends with track and field. With swimming, it's a little easier for us because we know everybody, the pool is the same, the time is the same. Get up there and get it done. Different racing, especially in a 400, different people next to you makes you run differently. They may throw you off. Somebody may like to go out the first 100 very fast. You may like to negative split. Negative split means run the second 200 equally as fast as the first, right? But I mean, with track and field, the first 200 is a little slow because you're starting from a standstill. So you have to factor in that the second 200 you're already moving. But having factored that in, what we're talking about is your actual running speed. So when you go through those rounds, it's very critical to stay focused on your race plan. No matter what race you get, don't panic. What lane you get, don't panic. No matter who's next to you, stay focused. Don't follow people. Don't get confused. Don't feel that your race depends on how Paulina runs or how Nikisha runs. You have to run your race. So she looks good. I'm a little worried that she has not raced in a whole month because feeling that pain, you could always be fit, but fit and race fit are two different things. Just like you could practice football, but match fitness is a different thing.
You mentioned the rounds. You notice her quiet confidence as well. I mean, when she said, when Donald asked her about, how she feels about the event coming up, her response was, well, she'll deal with the rounds, manage the rounds, and then we'll deal with the final. So, in other words, in her mind, she's already going to be in the final. She's admitting that she has rounds to do, and that's just a part of the meal. But she's going to get to that final, and then she will deal with it. And she's coming up against athletes that she would have been very accustomed to. As I said, bronze behind Kazmarek from Poland and Paulino last time out. So very used to the styles, as Anil would say, of those runners, so she would know what to expect. I don't really see many athletes on the outside looking in. I think it will come down to those four. I mean, Price is a little bit newer on the scene in terms of her sudden rise and being the world leader in terms of times. But I think she will know what to expect. Plus, she also trains in Jamaica as well under Paul Francis.
I don't believe that the rungs would be that much of a detriment to her. She's been to many Olympic Games, not many Olympic Games, but many World Championships, and making 2 World Championships finals.
She also got gold in the Commonwealth in 2022.
Gold in the Commonwealth, silver in the NACAC. So I don't think that would pay much of a problem to her. What we could see, though, is, one, the lack of races that she had, as Ricardo mentioned earlier. And if we do notice something with the MVP camp, where most of the top athletes are not competing as much, right? Kishane hasn't ran many races this year, but yet still he is a favorite. So I think not having the load of having to go through all the rungs at a major US championships or Jamaica championships, even a European championships, may work in her favor come this Olympic Games.
What do you think the impact of training in Jamaica through the Olympic Solidarity Program will have on her, not just in this Olympic Games, but her entire career in the future?
She has been here since she was probably a junior or just after junior years.
Yes, a long time, quite a few years.
I remember one of her interviews, she said Jamaica is like a home now. She spends more time in Jamaica than actually in Barbados. And having to train amongst world-class athletes day in, day out, mentally, you would be prepared for anything that is to be thrown at you once you go out there on a competition day.
Yeah, Chris, the Jamaican program seems to be a model that a lot of the Caribbean and parts of North America seems to be following. What are they doing right here?
I guess
that's about a 2-hour answer.
I guess a lot of things, but just to address, let us say, the 200 side, because she would have been in Jamaica and she would have been having athletes that would be pushing her a lot, as you said, Shericka Jackson, world champion, 200 and so on. So a lot of athletes in Jamaica that would be pushing her in terms of that 200 strength ability and increasing her speed. So it's no surprise to me that once you have better athletes performing against day in, day out, and it's going to push you to improve. As in Barbados, she may not have many runners there or many opportunities for people who are better than her to really push her. So I think in Jamaica she has more of that kind of opportunity. But yeah, a lot of things, as you said, you asked in Jamaica what they're doing right. But obviously, as you said, over a course of time, they have developed a certain level of, a certain formula, found out what has worked, what hasn't worked, and just tweak it as they go along in terms of getting results.
Well, with some of the things that actually is working for Jamaica right now is the fact that, one, they have a lot of athletes that are competing at this point. In the Caribbean, track and field may not be your #1 sport in the country. In Trinidad, it's probably cricket, and football. In Barbados, it's probably cricket, the same instance. So not many athletes, especially females, would be particularly interested in competing in track and field. So she would need to go where the mecca of track and field is, in the Caribbean per se, and that is where we have Jamaica coming into place, high-level competition and high-level athletes.
She was also part of the Olympic Junior program back in 2014, 2015. That has to be a big factor there, Anil, because it created the foundation for her
definitely
to be at this level.
And it was good that she chose to go to Jamaica rather than just fly out to the USA and so on and Europe. But what I must say, what is one of the major factors in Jamaica's success is intellectual capacity, brilliance. Coaches who understand the science of running, the science of physical preparation, the science of growth and maturational programs for kids straight up into high school, a brilliant college track and field championships. The intelligence of the coaches in Jamaica is what is continuously churning out talent, which means then you have, as JU said, from the talent pool, you then have high quality competitions right there on your soil, which prepares athletes for this type of high level intense competition. So coaches in Jamaica, big up all yourself.
Yeah, that seems to be an issue there with the pool of talent, especially as it pertains to West Indies cricket. That's a whole different topic.
God, don't give me a headache. You take me from the highs of brilliance of Jamaican track and field coaching.
Well, it's happening in track and field. Maybe that model can be used for West Indies cricket, but that's a topic for another time. We're going to take a short break and come back with more discussions on We Paddy Prime. Stay with us.
men's 100 free final is underway. 2 laps of pure power and speed. In lane number 6, it's Maxime Grosset from France.
He was fantastic underwater, and the first few strokes were really strong, but already it's Pan from China in the center of the pool that is going out very fast. Popovic is in a good spot right now.
Pan first at the 50, that's for sure. A great underwater.
22 at the wall, and he had a wonderful underwater, has extended it. Kyle Chalmers really trying to reel him in, so too Popovic.
A body length lead for Pan from China. Will it be a time to remember? He goes for the wall. China, Chalmers from Australia, Popovic. It is a new world record. Pan puffs up and pounds his chest, producing a gold medal performance in Paris.
Welcome back to We Paddy Prime. We take a dive into the swimming pool. 5 more finals were contested on day 5. And of course, you just saw the 100-meter freestyle for men, the final, with China's Zanlei Pan taking the win and of course accomplishing a world record of 46.40 seconds. He was the previous world record holder as well, so he of course shaved down some time from that, and that has to be something that we really have lots to discuss on that, Mr. Roberts, because we were talking yesterday about the slow nature of this pool in Paris, and now they seem to have rectified the situation.
No, they can't rectify
the pool
that.
It's now 3 meters.
What that means...
They add some water to the pool, maybe?
No, what that means is that in a proper pool of 3 meters depth, that he would have possibly gone a 46...
maybe?
No, about a 46.21 or 46.224. But that's an incredible swim. To blow out the rest of the world by that, I've got to clap him. But it was very confusing because he nearly missed the semi-final by, a few 100ths. He was in a tie for 13th. And 3 people did the same time. I think it was 47.60 or something. And it reminded me when they stopped using the 1,000th of a second. Because back in 1972 Olympics, 2 men swam a 400 IM, the race that Marchand won by a mile. And both of them, one from Sweden, one from USA, touched the wall simultaneously, had the same time, 4:31.58. And then they took 10 minutes and they went to the 1,000th of a second. And they went 4:31.58.9, and one was 4:38.7. And after that, they said, well, that's ridiculous. To make someone lose a medal by 1,000th of a second, if the wall was not done well, but the mason put a little bit more.
Plastering.
Well, plaster a little bit more. So since then, they've decided that with that swimming, we only go to the 100th of a second. So 46.40 is now the world record. A brilliant swim. Chalmers from Australia comes in, but young Popovici coming back gangbusters to get bronze. A brilliant race, an amazing time in a slow pool.
Sachin says shave, but that's more than a shave. That looked like shattered.
Shattered, yeah.
Well, I want to officially welcome Janelle to the show today, our female swimming analyst. Janelle, what are your thoughts on that race? Of course, by a body length, Pan winning ahead of the pack.
No, that was crazy, because usually in the sprint events, it's usually so close. And you saw with everybody else, it really came down to a touch. Because not for nothing, I had Popovic out. I knew that he would be on the podium, but watching the race, I was like, it doesn't look good. And then all of a sudden, the last minute surge, and you see so many of them coming into the wall, and all is about how much you're rotating into that finish and really committing to the finish. A lot of people finish flat, but you really have to reach for the wall each time.
Yeah, Chris, of course, Chalmers of Australia coming in second, Popovic from Romania in third. Any surprises there? I think we're all surprised by the world record first to begin with, but any surprises there from your perspective?
I've enjoyed watching Popovic right throughout the championships. Already a gold medal here, very smooth. Form in the water, excellent, great technique, as Anil would say. And Chalmers, to give him credit, he's been consistent. He won his semi-final, so he showed his quality early and stayed with Pan. But to see in a 100-meter final to win by a body length, I think that's massive. We're not talking about a 400-meter or even the 1500, which we might look at eventually, but in a 100-meter to win by a body length, that's unusual.
You know, it's actually interesting too, as you're watching them take the medals, how the height difference between Pan and Chalmers. Because a lot of times people assume that, okay, if you're really tall, you'd be a better athlete. Height in swimming sometimes doesn't even matter. So it's one of those where when coaches or even athletes are like, oh, I'm too small, I can't do this, forget it. Look at that.
If you thought about too short, just think back to Anthony Nesty.
Yeah.
5'8", beat Matt Biondi 6'6" for the gold medal 100-meter butterfly 1988. But what a race! And
Popovici there, eh?
Popovici is the technician.
Yeah.
Pan. I'll leave it there.
I want to ask you the question. You said and we all know it's a world knowledge now that he just managed to get through to the semi-final and the final. But from a technical aspect, from a coaching perspective, is there any major or even minor adjustments that can be done to gain additional propulsion in the pool when you dive in, basically, in a 100-meter?
Well, what I could say is that obviously he was being conservative. He nearly made that mistake, that fatal mistake of going too slow to conserve energy. In this 100-meter, though, in this final, when he got off those blocks, he went off with a different mindset and a different attitude. His butterfly kicks under the water were supreme. He's not known as one of the best starters in the world. Dylan Carter of Trinidad and Tobago is normally one of the best starters. But Pan went out there with a sort of aggression. And while there was Grosset, who probably got off a little better than him on the water, Pan took off after 26 meters and nobody could catch him. He hit the wall, a brilliant turn, and he went under the waves. You saw about 3 big waves as if it was surfing down in Tahiti. But it's a beautiful swim, a great way to finish off the program for the evening with a world record.
Now, the other two...
The only world record we've seen.
Yeah, the only world record we've seen. Now, 2 of the other finals that certainly, in my opinion, I think it may very well be the opinion of the entire panel here, that really stood out to us, that had some surprises in there. Well, firstly, the 100-meter freestyle women final, where Sarah Sjöström won from Sweden in 52.16 and set the world record in 2017 of 51.71. Of course, doing this one in 52.16. Tori Husk getting 52.29 from the USA, and Siobhan Hohi getting 52.33 from Hong Kong. Now, any surprises there, Janelle? I think, in my opinion, surprise there for Sjöström.
No, big time surprise, because Chris and I were talking off air and we're like, oh, you know, Sjöström is wonderful. She has done so much. We're surprised to see her still in these games. And it was like, all right, well, you know what? She has a lane.
She has a lane. She has a chance.
And, you know, as we're watching the finals, we're watching, you know, these two on either side of me are yelling, ha he, ha he, ha he. And I'm looking, I'm like, wait, there's a yellow cap coming up. There's a yellow cap coming up. So being able to see that and watch that. And then Tori Husk, she's always a very strong finisher. It was interesting to see her go as hard as she did, because I didn't think she was going to hold on as well as she did. But again, it all came down to the finish, because O'Callaghan was actually past Husk. And then at the end of it, Husk ended up repassing her for the touch.
Yeah, and Molly O'Callaghan from Australia finished in 52.34, just behind Hohi in 52.33.
Watch this finish here, and you can see Husk is out in lane 8. She's won the 100-meter butterfly, so freestyle will be easy for her compared to finishing that. But here, Hohi picks it up, and that's when Chris and myself were saying, Hohi, Hong Kong, we have it. But look in lane 7 here. Here comes Sjöström with one of the best finishes I've seen in a long time. And she had moved more into 50-meter butterfly, 50-meter freestyle. Look at her, she's totally shocked. But what a finish. She got it from somewhere. That's mental toughness, and she got her hand on the wall. Gold for Sweden. And this brought, I mean, tonight there was just great swimming. Ledecky won the 1500 freestyle, brilliant. Another gold medal for her. But the man of the moment. The man of the moment is Leon Marchand. Let me tell you something. This man, when he entered the 200-meter butterfly and the 200-meter breaststroke, 2 of those events are 2 of the most tasking, difficult, mind-boggling, pain-creating events. I was like, is this man serious? How is he going to do that? He had to swim a heat in a 200 butterfly. Go and swim down, get a massage, swim a heat of a 200 breaststroke, about 48 minutes or hour after. He then had to rest, get back, eat, come for semi-finals, swim a semi-final of a 200 butterfly, go and massage, get massage, relax, and come back, swim down, and then swim the semi-final of a 200 breaststroke. Go home, sleep without air conditioning in France unless they brought in the portable one. And then come to a final night. Swim a 200 butterfly against the world record holder. Marchand swam the most perfect race I've ever seen. Milak, who's the world record holder, was under so much pressure. He went out a little bit too hard, and I looked at Janelle. I said, that's trouble. He's going to pay for it in the last 20. So said, so done. Marchand, even though the country was there, the crowd, he held his pace. He relaxed. When you look, all young swimmers, look at the second turn of Leon Marchand in the 200 butterfly. The last 3 strokes, he accelerated into that wall so beautifully, hit the turn flush and perfect, took a fast turn because of the momentum, and that set up the entire third 50, where he caught Milak, did well, he held him off, but he was starting to pick up his pace, and on that last 50, Marchand brought it home. This is a 200 breaststroke where he blew out everybody, which is shocking. Stubblety Cook of Australia, the defending champion, got silver, but 2 gold medals on one night to add to first, so 3 gold medals for Marchand. He is the athlete of the Olympics so far, bar none.
You know, just for the benefit of the viewers, the men's 200-meter butterfly final, as Anil went on and on about Leon Marchand from France in 1:52.21, an Olympic record as well. The final 35 meters, it was head-to-head, and then he went by just about a hand length ahead of Christoph Milak of Hungary in 1:51.75. He led the entire race, Milak.
Yeah, Milak went out hard, which is what Anil was saying, trying to create that gap. But they have always said that Milak's last 50 is never usually his fastest, and he usually has enough of a lead to maintain and carry it home. But as I said, the heart of a lion, Marchand, and yes, pressure being in front of his home crowd, but also you could look at the flip side and say, as they would say in football, that 12th man in the stands. When you hear them roaring for you and you're coming down, the adrenaline rush, that extra oomph, right, to push. And that could very well have been, I mean, when he came out, you could see him kissing the crowd and things, because that does make a difference. And I think that could have helped him too.
Janelle, we didn't get your thoughts on the 100-meter freestyle for women, but tell us about the pain that Sjöström may have been going through at that last maybe 10 or 15 meters to the end of the pool, knowing that, hey, she's pushing through, and based on the reactions, clearly not knowing that she won the race.
No, and you know, it's one of those where, you know, when you swim as much as, you know, us have, you almost have a sense for the wall. So I wouldn't be surprised if she literally just closed her eyes and just head down and just went for it. And that's why when she turned around, you could see the genuine shock on her face, because not for nothing, we haven't seen that in Sjöström in a very long time. I mean, her world record is what, 2017? So it's one of those we're talking about real times, that the last time we actually saw her at that level. And then for her to come out and do this when, like I said, Chris and I were kind of like, oh, that's...
And Janelle did say, look, we know, and we said on air, don't count out a champion, because, you know, she's been there and she's done that.
No, Janelle, just a quick, 15 seconds, a quick thing on the 200-meter butterfly. Leon Marchand.
Yeah, no, that was incredible, incredible. And I'll actually even say, skipping from the 200 fly to the 200 breaststroke, notice he actually just missed the world record in that 200 breaststroke, coming off of a 200 fly. That is crazy to me. When I'm doing a 200 fly, listen, call me out for the rest of the night. I'm going to bed.
Yeah, his fitness level is certainly peaking at the right moment. He's done something really incredible there, and we're going to take a short break as we continue to do our incredible work here on We Party Pride. Bermuda's Dame Flora Duffy failed in her bid to defend her triathlon Olympic title. She finished 5th in a time of 1 hour, 56 minutes, 12 seconds. Her fellow countrywoman, Shericka Hawley, finished further down the pack in 41st position. Now, Alex Jordan caught up with both Flora and Shericka.
Congratulations on your 5th and final Olympics. What a wonderful performance. 5th place, 1:56.12. Your initial thoughts and feelings?
Yeah, definitely very mixed at the moment. Some things went really well out there today. I felt like my run failed me today. I just didn't have the legs. So that's really disappointing, but at the same time, I've come back from a major injury. So just to get back here and be in the mix and finish 5th, and I had a great swim. And so overall, I'm happy, but it's just, an emotional moment because this is my final time here.
Yes, congratulations, Shericka Hawley, on your Olympics debut, 41st, 2 hours, 2 minutes, 65 seconds. How was your experience?
Oh, it was amazing. I mean, I just finished the Olympics. So cool to say, I can say I'm an Olympian. I mean, before I didn't really want to jinx it, until I started. It was a very hard race. I feel like I'm still learning a lot at this level. Really proud.
Mixed reactions there from the triathlon athletes. One clearly saying this is going to be a last Olympic Games, and one just confirming, hey, I completed the Olympics. I've competed and now I've completed the Olympics. I'm an Olympian now. So mixed reactions there. But Anil, first off, triathlon getting the green light at 3:30 a.m. this morning. The River Seine being declared that it is safe to swim by the mayor. And just that.
Well, it might be safe. What I want to do is do an analysis 3 days later on how many of those swimmers suffering, how many spending a lot of time in the toilet and so on. I'm not, while I'm happy they didn't, when Chanel said yesterday, boy, we had to swim, let me tell you something, all those athletes went in there. Whether it's dirty water, clean water, tutu water, they swam their hearts out. It was remarkable. The river looked it didn't look inviting. Yeah, it didn't look inviting coming from a country, where we have beaches in Tobago, the Barbados, even here in Jamaica,
murky.
when you go
Murky.
to it was murky. Look, they showed this is the cleanest part. It didn't all look like that. That shot looks quite good.
And you can't see anything.
The men's race, the women's race, it was tremendous. They really went at it. The athletes weren't bothered. I thought the postponement and the insecurity about when and where and maybe duathlon would have kept them at bay. But boy, Duffy, congratulations to her 5th. The Olympics, don't get up. It's not easy.
But you wouldn't complain. You think about it. Janelle, you've been there, you've done that. Once you've been training for these 4 years, how many years? Right throughout. So once you get that green light, the worst thing for them would have been to come to the Olympic Games and to have something postponed or to change it to a duathlon or to change the dynamic of their event. So I think they were just eager to hear, yes, we're going to go. Whatever happens afterwards, I think they will deal with that accordingly. But I can understand as an Olympian, they will be eager just to dive in there. And whatever happens in the pool, well, they will deal with that along the way. But I think on Flora Duffy's part, surprisingly, she was ahead after the swimming, which, I thought was a little bit unusual and had a good lead. When she started cycling, and cycling is the strongest part of her event, she opened up a 2 minute gap? I think it was a 2 minute or 2 second gap, or 2 minute gap, I think it was initially. And I thought at that point, I was like, well, it's hers. I know the running part is usually her weakest point, but actually, she finished the cycling in 5th. So it's actually the cycling that let her down on this occasion, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But to go to 5 Olympics in itself, a major achievement.
That has to be a major achievement. And the youngster as well saying that, hey, I completed the Olympics. I'm now branded as an Olympian. Again, it goes back to our discussion of having resources and spending finances on the quote-unquote minor sports. Just achieving an Olympic position in a sport that whatever your discipline is, has to be a big achievement, Janelle.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And it's one of those where, for us as a region, I would love for us to take almost like a different stance, and I've been just happy to be there and really being there to make a statement and make an impact. I appreciate the level of enthusiasm that she had, but at the same time, it's one of those where keep in mind, when you make it to the Olympics, you're not just there to be another body. You're there to represent your country, represent your family, represent yourself. So it's one of those where I would love to see, for these youngsters coming up and through the ranks, whoever is going to make it to the LA Olympics, really hone in on that and really almost kind of like take a lot more pride and saying, yo, I'm here to compete, don't call me out.
Hence why there was a contrast in the opinions of both. One who's been to 5,
yes.
So her thing is about getting results here, and Holly who is doing it for the first time, saying, but and generally in the triathlon, if you're to look at the statistics, there are a lot of athletes who do not finish DNF, right? So it is one of those events where you have a lot of that, and I guess based on the dynamics, 3 different sports, you're putting yourself through a lot, long distances, very possible for you to, fall off a form and not finish. So I think that in itself was an accomplishment for her.
Well, meanwhile, in the men's event, Matthew Wright of Barbados and Bermudan Tyler Smith finished 34th and 48th, respectively. They ran off and rode off and swam off in the various positions there just about 2.5 hours after the women. So, looking at that shot there, of course, Paris in the last few days have been on the receiving end of some showers, torrential and gentle showers. But yeah, diving into the Seine River, I'm sure the mayor would be extremely happy with that.
And she said,
she said that they've won the bet. That's what her words were. They won the bet. And the money that they've spent for collection areas, for the water to go into the various collection areas and the collection ponds, etc. Well, they've won the bet.
Well,
not too sure what the bet was.
I'm not sure what the bet was, but the race went off. The athletes were happy. There was a great race. These men, especially, they were riding at a pace that I didn't think they could finish the run. So, but Janelle brought up a point. When you watch all of this, these are people representing their countries. That's your flag you're representing. I remember training 3 athletes for 1996 Olympics. We used to train in Queen's Park Hotel pool, a 20-yard pool, 3 lanes, no blocks, turn over a flower pot to dive and so on. It's now TGI Fridays, where Sachin goes after work the line. But there was a CARICOM or a CARIFESTA happening at the time. And the 3 athletes I was training, they weren't working hard. They were giving me beans. I had to shout and scream. I took them out of the pool at 4:30 in the morning, walked across the Queen's Park Savannah 4 lanes, and went to the area where they had all the Caribbean flags. And I made them stand there and look at those flags and let them know that you're not only representing Barbados in the case of one, and Trinidad and Tobago in the case of the other 2. You're representing every flag. So why do I have to be shouting and asking you and begging you for an effort when you are going out there into the Olympics? I mean, it's very important. They got back in and they went faster, though.
Well, let's take a quick look at the medal table before we embark on our journey to another spot. This is, of course, the look at the medal table. And after 5 days of action, the top of the table, China, with 8 gold and 18 in total for them. Number 2, Japan, 8th gold and 15 in total. France, 3rd, 7 gold and 24 in total. 4th position, Australia, 7 gold and 14 in total. And finishing off the top 5, Great Britain, who have 6 gold medals and 17 in total. So that gives us the USA again
on 4. That's never been seen before, Chris.
That's an interesting point. Maybe they have a chance to get up to the top 5. We wait to see. The Olympic Games still have 12 days to go. We have to wait and see how that will unfold. Thanks to Chris, thanks to Janelle, thanks to Anil, and of course earlier on, thanks to Jehu. And thank you very much for watching. This has been We Paddy Prime. I'm Sachin. We'll see you soon.
United, spirits bright, dawn of the body, where dreams come alive. No song, the notes round to thee.